Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. This is Seth Kills, otherwise known as Nick, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies. And probably been doing movie reviews probably now for a month, and I just couldn't do another one until I talk about this movie because it's still one of my favorite movies. I watch it at least 3 or 4 times a year, and every year, like clockwork, I watch it, and every single time it's enjoyable. One of the things that sparked up this review was because I recently did a Prey review, and I recently did another Prey review with my brother, and we were talking about the difference between the protagonist in Prey and the protagonist in Aliens. And one of the one things I like about Aliens is I can relate to her motivation. She wants to save essentially her daughter, and it's love that ultimately gives her strength to fight. And to me, that's a lot more compelling reason why somebody can go above and beyond normal a normal person's ability in order to do something great to save somebody else that they normally couldn't do under different circumstances. And this movie, I don't know who wrote it, but the writing of the movie was just amazing. Each character, especially Ripley, which is played by Sigourney Weaver, her character had an actual arc from you know start to finish, and had build up, had reasons to why she can do certain things, and reason why she did certain things. This movie had an all-star cast. Paul Reiser was in it. Bill Paxton. I love Bill Paxton. Michael Biehn. Uh, Lance Henriksen, which was played by Bishop. Al Matthews, which was Sergeant Apone, which he did an excellent job as the sergeant. Um, Bill Paxton, by the way, I don't know. He had so many good one-liners in this movie. So did Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser had some good one-liners. And the relationship between Sigourney Weaver and Michael Bean's character, which Michael Bean played Captain Dwayne, or no, sorry, Corporal Dwayne, and and their relationship and their build-up kind of had like this almost little bit of a romantic relationship, or at least building up to a romantic relationship, which I didn't mind in the movie. I thought it played really well in the situation, and Michael Bean played really, good. He played that character really well. Which is funny because Michael Bean wasn't originally going to be in this movie. He was casted during production, and the person that he replaced. I don't know why the person got fired, but he replaced an actor on the film, and it was. I mean, thank God because Michael Bean he did an excellent job. And to be honest, I actually miss him in movies. I saw him recently, and I think The Mandalorian, or was that? I think it was Mandalorian, and it was good seeing him on screen again because missed him. He's a good actor. I loved him in Terminator, and he just stepped up his game in this movie as well. Sorry, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, what can I say about this movie? I mean, it had it all. It starts off with Sigourney Weaver's character being found after an alien being stranded in the Nostromo's, I guess, pod ship, and she's been stranded for a very long time. And the movie starts off with her figuring out that her family is basically dead, her daughter is dead, and it kind of sets it up to where you understand why she kind of had that mother-daughter relationship with Newt almost immediately. Um, and it kind of brought that emotion to it, and brought that heart to it because to me, without heart in movies, it takes the humanism out of movies, and I think you need to have a little bit of that for the story to be compelling. And the story here is just compelling from start to finish. Once she realizes that her family's gone, she takes up a job, a little bit of a minuscule job, but she takes it up just to kind of stay busy. She's going through therapy, she's having these nightmares and these dream sequences, and she can't stop thinking about what happened. and it portrays that very well on screen. And she goes in front of these corporate dudes, trying to tell them what happened to the Nostromo and why she had to explode the ship and what happened. And these guys are pricks. They don't believe her. They don't believe in aliens for some reason, and they think that she's crazy. So they basically dismiss her. She goes back to her little studio apartment, and she's basically trying to live life. She has this little nightmare sequence, which I think will happen a little bit in the beginning of the movie. Um, Paul Reiser's character ends up coming in and pay her a visit, and basically needs her help now. They lost contact with the civilization that settled on the planet that she originally got stranded, or she originally not got stranded, but picked up the egg because of that distress call in the first film, which she knows that planet is heavily infested with those eggs, so it was only a matter of time. She doesn't take it at first. She, basically has a nightmare and then suddenly, not suddenly, but decides to go ahead and go check it out, see what happened, just to kind of face her fears so she can kind of continue living on life, is kind of what I assume from it. And they end up, going to the planet. They go to the planet, and it has this little cool scene where, just like the first movie, they're getting out of the sleeping pods, and Vasquez is doing her pull ups, being a little macho, which I kind of love that scene too. Um, I forgot who played the character. He was recently interviewed by somebody I watch on YouTube who played the soldier, Private Drake. Yeah, his name is Mark Rolston. Rolston. He did an excellent job in this movie too. I thought he played like a really good badass and had like that whole romance thing going on with Vasquez, and it kind of, I don't know, you can relate to it. It's kind of like coworkers that liked each other. He did really well. So after this scene, they basically do a briefing, and Sigourney Weaver kind of has this like little breakdown, and everyone sees it. They kind of half believe her. You can tell maybe Michael Bean's character kind of believes her, but everyone else kind of doesn't. They just want to go in and take care of the problem, kill whoever they have to kill, save whoever they have to save. They're very serious Marines. So the meeting ends. They got to do their homework. And by the way, the sergeant in this scene, oh my God, does such a good job. Bill Paxton's dialogue back and forth with the sergeant is definitely something to remember. But so they have their little powwow, and they get ready to basically land on the planet and start checking everything out. And they have this cool little scene that I'm gonna let Mr. Bill Paxton here kind of describe what's gonna take place.
Check it out. I am the ultimate badass. State of the badass art. You do not want to fuck with me. Check it out. Hey, Ripley, don't worry. Me and my squad of ultimate badasses will protect you. Check it out. Independently targeting particle beam failings. Fry half a city with this puppy. We got tactical smart missiles, phase plasma pulse rifles, RPGs. We got sonic electronic ball breakers. We got nukes. We got knives, sharp sticks.
Knock it off, Hudson. All right, gear up. 2 minutes, people. Get hot.
Check it out. I am the ultimate.
I didn't mean to replay that back, but I mean, just that one scene kind of sets up how their mentality is, what they're thinking, that they're going to go in, guns blazing, take care of the problem, no problem. And Ripley is just like, well, we'll see about that. But so they land on the planet, and, they take this cool cool ass looking Batman tank thing. They go up to the door, they hack the door. The first thing they notice is see some acid on the ground, and Ripley is still at the tank, kind of reviewing everything as the soldiers are checking everything out. And she recognizes it right away. It's the acid blood, and Bill Paxton even says it. And they keep going in, they start inspecting. They check maybe for like 2 or 3 minutes, and one of the soldiers, or not one of the soldiers, but the sergeant or whoever, the character with the red hair, whoever's leading the command that's only had like 2 or 37 simulated missions, and this is only his second real mission. And he basically calls the all clear. They go inside, and Ripley is disgusted with this decision because she knows they only checked it out for a brief couple minutes, if that, and then suddenly it's clear. So they come in, they inspect everything. They realize that they find the face huggers. One of them is still alive. They have this little jump screen with Paul Reiser, which is really funny. And I think it was Mark, not Mark. I was about to say Mark Bean, but Michael Bean says, I think he's in love, when he tries to attack him, which is a good scene. So the scene plays out, and I'm not going to be doing like an exact play by play, but I'm just going to kind of see if I can remember the movie as I go. But they get to a console eventually. In the console, they find that a lot of the settlers has these tracking devices implanted in them. So they trace them down, which by the way is disturbing. Which they trace them down, and they're all by kind of like I guess you would say like a nuclear plant or nuclear power plant or something like that. So they're all there, and they're thinking that, no, Bill Paxton says that must be like a town meeting. And they go investigate, and you could tell the aliens have made themselves at home. It looks very, the background and the environment is very well done. And by the way, on a side subject, this movie cost to make $18,500,000. And today's money, adjusted for inflation, that's $47,189,726. So my question is, how can something this good be made for $47 million? When you have movies like Wonder Woman 1984 or Justice League, whichever version, that are just crap, and they're spent, I think Justice League cost like $350 or $300 million or something like that, because they made it twice. And well, not twice, but basically reshot some scenes. And then you have Wonder Woman. I think that movie cost like $200 million, and those movies can't even compare to what Aliens did, for 3 times less the money. So that goes to say, why is movies so trash today? Well, at least a lot of them, anyways. Some of them you'll get like diamond in the rough, but a lot of the movies is just really bad today. Anyways, I digress. So where are we at? So they get into the facility, which is they think is housing all the survivors. They go investigate. The scenery and the environment is amazing. It's very alien-esque, a lot of black, dark, kind of like almost looks like the walls or the alien skin almost. And it's very beautiful, very, very well done. I miss backgrounds that are not CGI. So they go investigate, and Sigourney Weaver notices that they're underneath some type of power plant or something that can't have energy weapons used, because it can cause like a chain reaction and it could explode and kill everyone. So the redheaded sergeant, which I gotta figure out his name. Is it a sergeant or corporal or something? I don't know. It's not a corporal. Maybe it's a corporal. No, corporal is Hicks, which is basically just like a private, I guess. But I don't know. We'll just call him Redhead Guy. So Redhead Guy makes the order, says you guys can't do any firing in there. So Sergeant collects all the magazines from everyone, but you notice that Vasquez and her buddy are keeping the ammo that they had. They basically gave them the ammo and then took the ammo from their pocket and reloaded. So they're ready to go. Which begs the question because they did use the ammo later on in the movie and no explosions. So I guess that didn't need to happen, but hey, I guess it was a bad call. So they go in, they investigate, and suddenly they get attacked. The aliens get the upper hand, take out a lot of the extras, basically, which is really sad because Vasquez's best buddy gets killed in this scene, and it's really unfortunate because he was a good character. They get to the tank, they eventually escape, and Bill Paxton says something else.
You finished?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Oh man. So, like I said, he had so many good one-liners, and then Paul Reiser kind of jumps in and says, "I don't know, why don't we just build a fire? You know, sing Kumbaya." But they get stranded. You know, the tank is damaged. They got some ammo, but you know they're not 100%. You know, they got a little bit of ammo. So once they get back to the facility, they basically kind of secure themselves in the facility, and they set up these two cool machine guns that are getting used later on, and it holds them back. Does a pretty cool job. But I love that scene too when they're climbing all over the walls and that machine gun is just doing damage down that alley, and you see it, you know, and there's like one bullet left, two bullets left. Machine gun one down. Machine gun two has 65 in the ammo clip, and they get 64, and then 60, and then you know 50, and then 40, and then it stops like at 7. So the suspense in that scene, just with two machine guns and aliens coming at it, was very high. So once they try to attack, Paul Reiser has this little separate scene where he's trying something, you know, mischievous, and Sigourney Weaver's character and Newt's character are sleeping, and they're sleeping in the bed, and Paul Reiser's character releases like a little alien face hugger so he can impregnate both of them, basically kind of sneak both of them through customs, which I don't even know how he was going to do that, and basically have an alien sample ready to sell to the corporations or the corporation Weyland so they can make some profit, right? It's all about the money. So he turns off the cameras. Michael Biehn doesn't notice, and Sigourney Weaver wakes up. She tells Newt that we're in danger. They get up. They try to break the window, couldn't break. So she gets the good idea of lighting a fire and, you know, using the smoke alarm. And that's when Michael Biehn is alerted. So Michael Bihn's character and all the survivors, Bill Paxton, Vasquez, and Paul Reiser, and then the redheaded, let's just call him Captain. Captain comes out, and he figures out that they can't break the glass, so they shoot the glass, and he goes right through it. And it has this cool little scene where Bill Paxton traps an alien with his foot. I think it's probably like a little shelf that is using to trap the tail of the facehugger. He kills it. Sigourney Weaver has a facehugger that's wrapped around her neck. Michael Biehn is holding this facehugger, trying to stop her from, you know, basically dying, because once that facehugger is on, you cannot get it off. And somehow he gets the tail, he wraps it off of her neck, which thank God. Throws the alien against a wall, calls out to Hicks before he does it. 3, 2, 1, shoot. Aliens, or the facehugger's dead. And, you know, now it's who did this, because somebody obviously set this, you know, up. And Sigourney Weaver, you know, knows who it is right away. Points at Paul Reiser. Michael Biehn at first is kind of saying like, come on, why would he do this? Why would he kill people just for money, basically? And she makes a very good argument, and Michael Biehn believes him and is about to kill him, basically. Sigourney Weaver stops him, says, no, no, and then guess what? The aliens are here now, right? Bill Paxton notices something on the motion tracker, but before that, the aliens turned off the lights, and Bill Paxton, I swear, says the funniest shit in this movie. He's just like, oh my man, they turned off the lights, and Bill Paxton says, they turn off the lights? What do you mean? They're they're animals, man, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm killing it to death, but he says something extremely funny in that moment. So the aliens are getting closer. Bill Paxton and Vasquez are outside the door. They're trying. They don't seal the door just yet. They're trying to wait for the aliens to get closer. They notice they're getting closer. They're getting closer. And they go eventually back to the room, and they're sealing the door with that little cool flaming torch, which was in Alien Isolations. Oh, such a great game. So they seal the door. They back up, and they notice that the aliens are still getting closer to the point where they're actually in the room now. So Michael Biehn has the good idea. Well, actually, I think it was Sigourney Weaver that notices the vents, like looks up, and then Michael Biehn goes to check the vents and notices maybe 20 aliens just coming right at him, coming from the vents, which I don't really know how they got through. I mean, I guess if they got through the roof maybe somehow, but they're in the vents now. Michael Biehn starts shooting, the aliens start dropping down, and then now we got to say our goodbyes to Mr. Bill Paxton. He was great. He was great. And he had a good death, as a lot of warriors would say. He ends up being ripped down through the floor, which I guess now they're under the floor too. And, he's shooting from the floor, and he eventually kind of just disappears, and you kind of assume he's dead. Or I think maybe a tail goes through him or something like that. I can't really remember. But he's dead, which is sad. Paul Reiser's character closes the door, the dick he is, but he gets it. He gets through another door. Ripley, Vasquez, and a redheaded sergeant and Hicks, they eventually get through the door after fire torching it. They get through the door. They can't get through the other one because there's not enough time, so they go through the vent. The aliens are close, following them. Newt kind of goes along, eventually finds this little spinning vent and then falls through that and ultimately gets lost. Sigourney Weaver and Michael Biehn's character are obviously saddened by this, and Michael Biehn notices that we have the tracker, so tries to comfort Sigourney Weaver. And the emotions in this scene, you could feel Sigourney Weaver's pain. Like she's lost her kid, she's worried to death. Michael Bihn's trying to console her, and then all of that suddenly she kind of snaps out of it because she notices she has the tracking device, and they go find her. Vasquez and the redheaded captain are kind of a little bit behind. He notices that Vasquez has fallen behind, so he goes back. He tries to get her. Notices there's too much aliens, and they have this emotional kind of, acceptance of each other. Like, hey, it's all good. You tried your best. I respect you. All's forgiven. Let's take some of these aliens out with us, and they blow themselves up. Killed by maybe 7 or 8 aliens. So there's 2 more characters gone. So now we're left with Michael Biehn. Oh, Bishop, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Before the aliens got in, he goes in a pipe and goes to the relay so he can call down the ship from, well, basically another passenger ship from the main ship to come down and pick them up. So he's there. He's still doing that. The ship's maybe 30 minutes away or something like that. I'm just taking a wild guess. So Hicks and Sigourney Weaver, they are trying to find Newt. They ended up getting down to the sewer, and they notice that Newt is gone, right? So they go back up to the elevator. Michael Bean's trying to press on it. He shoots the alien that's coming, which comes out of nowhere, by the way. And some of the acid gets on his little vest, right? So he rips off the vest because he's about to die, and he's extremely hurt. Ripley carries him to the ship, which Bishop is there now. Bishop helps Michael Bean's character and Sigourney Weaver's character. They get on the ship, and Sigourney Weaver says, "We're not going anywhere," right? Michael Bean's character is extremely hurt. They put some bandages, stuff, while they're trying to go to the tracker, which I think is the same spot that all the aliens were originally at, where they went there with the tank. So Michael Bean's too hurt. Bishop is watching over Michael Bean and also taking care of the ship. She gets ready for war. She straps on, flamethrower, machine guns, bombs, all kinds of shit. She goes down. She encounters a bunch of different types of aliens. Oh, well, not a bunch. Several aliens, maybe 3 or 4 that she actually does kill. And she finds Newt with the tracker, and then notices the queen bee, the big ass alien, and notices all the eggs. She has this little cool scene where she's threatening the alien, and Sigourney Weaver does such a good job in this scene where she doesn't even have to say words. Just her facial reactions, like how she was basically threatening the alien that, hey, if you move, if you tell your soldiers to attack me, because there's aliens on the walls, I'm going to shoot your eggs, right? And she notices something, because I remember her face kind of goes like this or whatever, and she notices that the alien's about to do something, so she blasts the eggs, all of them, popping, just exploding. So they run, they get to the elevator, and we have this scene where the big mother alien is detaching off this kind of like tube thing that's laying the eggs. So she goes to run, and Ripley and Newt are in the elevator. They're pressing the up button, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And almost the last second, as the queen is coming at them, it closes the door. They start moving up. They get to the roof, and they notice that the other elevator is coming up too. So, I don't quite remember what happened. I think the queen. I watched this movie so much I can't remember. So the alien does get up from the elevator. She kind of does this little walk around the platform as they're getting on the ship. The ship, some reason, has to kind of fade left and then somehow picks up some debris. And you don't see them pick up the queen, but you kind of have a suspicion that, why else are you going to show us that landing gear picking up all that debris? So they get to the ship, and they think everything's fine. And wouldn't you know it, Big Queen is there, stabs Bishop right through the middle, breaks him in half. Newt runs down a vent. Sigourney Weaver's trying to distract the alien, and then dodges into like this little doorway where she closes it, and now she's safe. Newt's kind of semi-safe. The queen is trying to look for Newt, and then Bishop is, he's alive, but he's not doing well. The alien, or the queen, is still looking for Newt, is pulling these vents, almost getting her, and here comes our hero, right? The protagonist done right, by the way. And she comes in with that, basically Hulkbuster, right, without the skin. Comes in, has a massive fight without CGI, by the way, and the fight's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, obviously you can tell, it's a puppet, fighting, but it's still awesome. I mean, practical effects are way, in my opinion. I mean, obviously some CGI is needed, but they're just going overboard with it. I mean, they should go back to basics. But anyways, I digress. So they have this fight scene, and ultimately Ripley wins by throwing the alien down, kind of like a trash chute, which leads into space. And she goes down with the alien because the alien grabs the foot of the robot or something. So she takes the whole robot and Ripley with the Queen alien as she falls. And Ripley, undoes herself. She going up the ladder. The alien's still trapped. The alien grabs her foot. She presses the button. And this is like a callback to Alien because the same thing happened to the original Alien, right? She basically got ejected through space. So she presses the button. I don't know how she's strong enough, but she was able. This probably doesn't make too much sense because I don't know if this could actually happen now. Well, not now, but in space. But she holds down as the vacuum of space is pulling the alien, and somehow she's able to hold on, but the alien loses his grip, or her grip, sorry, and gets ejected to space. So we win. So she gets up the ladder, and it has this really great music, by the way. The score in this movie is just fantastic. She gets up, she goes up the ladder. She ends up closing the door. By the way, her foot almost gets stuck. I always remember that. I was like, dude, get your foot up. It's almost closed. So she ends up. Oh, and by the way, during this scene where the alien does get ejected, Newt almost falls in, and Bishop saves Newt. So, my man Bishop. So that's kind of where the movie ends. They get ready for hypersleep again. She puts away Bishop, puts away Newt, and that's kind of where the movie ends. That's kind of like a happy story. Kind of figure out what happens there from yourself until Alien 3 came out, then kind of just destroyed our dreams. I still can't believe that they killed off Michael Biehn and Newt like right away, and then did that whole prison movie. I mean, I liked it for what it was, you know what I mean? But I really wish they continued the storyline of this movie. I really wish, what would have happened if somehow, some way, not the same exact thing, but something like it happens where all three of them are adrift. They get found, maybe not 57 years or 50 whatever years that it was, but they get found like 5 years later or something. And they get into a situation where they come up with aliens again. They have to come up against the aliens again. And somehow, because there were no survivors from this altercation from the last movie, they sent out another team to go find out what happened, and now that team is missing. Something like that. But I really wish they continued with the story because I would have loved seeing Michael Biehn together with Sigourney Weaver again, and then also seeing Newt's character, kind of, I guess she wouldn't really be older because she wouldn't have been in hypersleep. But, seeing that character again, seeing that character with Sigourney Weaver, and seeing her kind of like maybe, through 2 or 3 movies, kind of teach that character to do what Ripley does. Because there's this multiple, nests everywhere in the solar system, and people are running into it. But I don't know. I just wish they did something like that. It would have been really fun to kind of see that progression, because they kind of just killed Ripley off mainly in the third one, and I mean they did kill her, but ultimately brought her back through cloning and resurrections. But the story just went through a loop, and I just wish they kept this momentum or brought it back to where Alien, the first Alien was. That whole 1v1 situation, or just a limited amount of people with limited weapons, something like that again. But yeah, I mean, this movie, if you haven't seen it yet, I'd suggest seeing it. I described the whole movie to you, so you basically did see it by watching this. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, this movie is something I still watch today 3 or 4 times a year. I own it, so I pop it in the DVD player. But if you, like I said, if you haven't watched it, I suggest definitely watching it. And if you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.